So you guys know the number 1-425-569-5241. Press one time. Come on, call us up, voice your opinion, let us know what you think about Eddie Hearn's latest quotes. He's standing firm on the
I think Eddie Hearn has called in, actually.
Yeah, you mean Robbie Hearn?
No. I'm serious. Eddie Hearn actually tweeted us and said he's in the hold in the host room, and I do have a UK number here, so that could be Eddie Hearn.
Is it the 4768?
That could be Eddie Hearn. He did tweet about us.
All right, let's see. Mr. Hearn, is this you?
Mr. My man.
Oh, it is my man, Eddie Hearn. How are you, man? Listen, I wanted to tell you personally that I love that bit that you did with the glasses. Oh, man. Oh, I love it, man. You're.
I called it.
Go for it.
According to Richard Schaefer and Lou DiBella, that was very disrespectful.
No. That was class. Listen, I've been saying for quite some time now that the rest of these promoters need to take a page out of your book. The way that you're so accessible. I mean, look at this. The way that you're just calling into this show, the way that you're accessible to Coogan and iFilm TV or iFilm London. I mean, you're out there. You give the public what they want. They want answers, and you make sure that they're always there. You make sure you put them on video, you tweet them. You're so active, and it really helps your promotion. I mean, think about 5 years ago. Eddie Hearn wasn't the commodity that Eddie Hearn is now. I mean, look at you. Huh. You're taking over, Eddie. You know that you are. Look at you. You're even dabbling here in the U.S.
There's just one thing. There's one thing, please. Whatever happens in my life, please make sure you are not my tax advisor.
That he's letting us know he had that old money, Matt.
1.5 million out of 4 million. I don't know what tax rate you're working on, but anyway.
So how much would the cut be? How much does he lose? Because we were just in Alabama, and he made it clear that fighting in the UK means he loses a lot of money.
Well, he's obviously not being advised correctly. Whatever purse he puts down in the bout agreement, and obviously there's many ways and many forms and bands in the POS, you would pay a 20% withholding tax in the UK, which you can offset against your US tax bill. So, for example, if he got $4 million, and probably $1 million of that would come from a US company in terms of the TV revenue. So if he was getting $3 million, he would pay $600,000 in tax, which he could offset against his US tax bill. So actually, he wouldn't lose a penny in tax. So I don't know who's told him that, but clearly they're not well educated on international tax law. But anyway, I don't think we're particularly close to this fight happening. But for me, it's common sense. But
wait, so you said you don't think you're particularly close to this fight happening?
No, the Dillian Whyte fight. I don't think they're forthcoming at all in making the Dillian Whyte fight. And I can't, who makes the decisions?
Well, I did speak to the manager / trainer, JD's, and I'm sure, the video is out. He made it clear that the Dillian Whyte offer is starting to sound a little more interesting, but they would like the Anthony Joshua attached to that contract.
Of course, but that's not going to happen. This is not a carrot to get Anthony Joshua. This is a fight that pays Deontay Wilder a career high purse by some distance. It also gives him a huge amount of international profile. It increases his value in the Joshua fight. You made a very good point earlier. And people talk about the split, and we must be respectful, and we must, this is not a case of me coming on the phone and saying to you, Deontay Wilder's got no profile. He doesn't deserve anything. Of course he does. He's an excellent fighter. He's a WBC champion of the world. He's currently earning probably about 10% per fight of what Anthony Joshua is earning per fight. But we do need him. We do need Joseph Parker because we want to pick up the other belts. So they will be overpaid in some sense in the fight. But also we have to understand in terms of commercial value, Deontay Wilder's not even on the same racetrack as Anthony Joshua. But that can change. And that changes in a fight like the Dillian Whyte fight. I'm making the fight because I think Dillian Whyte can win. I'm not making the fight to increase Deontay Wilder's value. Dillian Whyte is my guy. But what I'm saying is, if you can come over to a packed arena in the UK and beat Dillian Whyte, it makes the Anthony Joshua fight absolutely huge in comparison to where it is now. Okay? So it's not respectful. The offer is very respectful. And it's not a case of, we're not giving him any money to fight Anthony Joshua. We want to make the Deontay Wilder fight. That's very, very clear to us. But we do have many options. And, Deontay has very few options, in my opinion. And outside of the Dillian Whyte fight, what options does he have? They couldn't even get the money together, really, to make the Joseph Parker fight. Because Joseph Parker wants too much money for that fight. And so does Deontay Wilder. And it's not there for the Parker fight. So there's really only two fights out there for Deontay Wilder, in my opinion. And that's Dillian Whyte and that's Anthony Joshua. Unless he's happy with earning the kind of purses that he's currently earning. And he's got other fights on the table.
Hey, Eddie, it's Matt, one of the co-hosts of the show. You said you wouldn't consider making Dillian Whyte a sort of Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev like a contract. You wouldn't make it where it's explicit in the contract where after this fight he gets Joshua, or after two fights he gets Joshua, or whatever it is. Why is there a pushback to that sort of deal?
No, I'm not really interested. Because I don't think that. Firstly, I'm not realised that next couple of weeks. I mean, we've been fighting on Saturday. Then we've got a huge number of offers from international offers to go and fight abroad. We're also possibly looking at the Joseph Parker fight as well. If I'm going to be dealing with that fight on February the 3rd, got to act in the next 1 or 2 weeks. It's not that simple a deal to put together a Joshua Wilder fight in a week or two. And that may frustrate fans, and fans may say, Hearn's talking rubbish. I'm sorry, that's the truth. But one thing I know about the Dillian Whyte fight is that is there now on a plate with the money ready to go. So it all depends. It's not enough money to take the risk. But the other options out there, I mean, what do you want to do? You want to go and fight Brazil for half the money? If every one of these fights that he takes is actually depleting his profile rather than improving it. I don't believe that he wants. I think Deontay wants to. I think he wants to fight Stiverne. And I feel for him because not happening.
Eddie, the connection is a bit bad and you just dropped off. Oh, man. But there you have it. I mean, at least he called in, which is official. Eddie.
And Eddie, very quickly, if you want to call back in, you can go on Skype.
Yeah, Skype. Just add Nestor Gibbs. You can actually do it on your mobile. I'm sure you have an iPhone because like you told me so politely, you got old money. Oh, actually, no. He said, I don't want you to ever be my tax man because he said I was doing the taxes for Deontay Wilder's purse wrong, not about old money. So I corrected that there. All right. Well, we'll see if Eddie calls back in. We do want to thank him. I want to have the AP, Rob, if you're still up, definitely send him some love and some appreciation for stopping by on the show. I had just hit my boy Deontay up trying to let him know that what was going on to see could we have an old-fashioned Western, but maybe he's still in camp.
Eddie called back in if you want to go to him.
Oh, Eddie called back in. There, yeah. Well, there you go. Eddie, are you there?
Sorry, guys. I run out of credit on my phone.
No, definitely the connection. So, man, I can't believe that you.
I think I've pretty much finished.
Well, we actually lost a little bit. So, if you want to give us at least that last 30 seconds.
Yeah, I was just saying that we want to increase the value in the Joshua fight. We want to build that fight. This fight is nowhere near the size it can be. It doesn't mean that sometimes you get opportunities to make fights and you've got to jump at them. I don't feel the only rush that I feel to make this fight is because the fans want it and the broadcasters want it, and we have to take notice of that. But this fight could be twice the size in 3 or 4 months, and it could be 10 times the size in 6 months. So it's only going to get bigger. But it's a fight we must make at some stage. All I'm trying to do is make the fight as big as possible and get Deontay as much money as possible. Of course, get Anthony Joshua as much money as possible, and make it the super fight that it should be, that potentially it's not yet. US.
Now, Eddie, let me just ask you, I don't know, a hypothetical here. I mean, you're doing this new business with HBO. You've obviously have done a great job in bringing Daniel Jacobs to HBO, who's still an Al Haymon fighter. So that right there sent shocks, waves through the boxing media, because it was like, oh, wait, HBO doesn't normally deal with Haymon fighters, not in the long term, and you made it happen. So is there a world where Eddie Hearn can maybe put together a 3-fight deal for a Deontay Wilder, maybe sign Deontay Wilder the way that you signed Daniel Jacobs? I know he's with Lou DiBella now, but maybe that contract is up once, I don't know, whenever, and you have your, access to Al Haymon. Is it a better world if maybe you put together a plan for Deontay, 2-3 fight deal that can maximize his exposure not only here in the US but in the UK, and make that Joshua fight the 3rd fight in that deal, making it as big as it could possibly be? Because when I asked about the pay-per-view sales, he seems to think we're heavyweights, we're automatically going to do better than Canelo Alvarez and Triple G. But what do you think? How many pay-per-views, US pay-per-views, does a Wilder Joshua do now?
Well, firstly, I don't know of his promotional situation. I mean, I think Lou DiBella says he's his promoter. I don't know if they have a contract or what, or how long that is up for, if he has a contract. In terms of the pay-per-view buyers, I think it's nowhere near as big as it should be. I would say that fight currently does 500,000 or 600,000 pay-per-view buys, which I think would be extremely disappointing for a unified heavyweight championship fight between an American and a Brit of the quality. No, and you have to give Deontay Wilder credit. I mean, in all the things that I say, don't confuse my commercial opinion with my opinion of Deontay Wilder as a fighter and as a person, because I really like him and I think he's a great fighter. So, I want to make that clear. This is not about, oh, he's no good, I don't rate him. I do rate him. And what is frustrating when I look at it is he is a great athlete. He talks really well. He looks the part. He's fast. He's exciting. He can punch. And he's a heavyweight champion of the world. Yet, he could probably walk down most streets in most cities across America, and I bet he would barely be recognized outside of Alabama. And that's the truth. And that's frustrating, because he should be a superstar. And I say that in exactly the same way that I say about Daniel Jacobs. Learn the backstory. Talk to him. Look at him. Watch him fight. There is so many opportunities. America's a big place. You can make a lot of money in America, but I just feel like fighters aren't realising the potential on the promotional side. The fight between Joshua and Wilder must do over 1 million buys. Must do, otherwise it's a complete waste. But it doesn't at the moment. And listen, Joshua's only building in America. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, Joshua's cracked America, he's huge. No. We're building in America. Now, this is our 5th fight on American TV on Saturday, and we've got a lot of work to do. But, you know, you can walk out of Macy's in New York and see Anthony Joshua on a billboard across the street. This is the difference. And in time, he's just only going to get bigger and bigger in America. But I don't really want to do the fight and do to do 600,000 pay-per-view buys, we'd be better off doing it in the UK. You know, once that fight starts cracking 1 million pay-per-view buys in America, perhaps we have to bring it to America rather than the UK.
And in the UK, how many pay-per-views does it do? Because Wilder made it clear that he's willing to go over there. He understands that he's not the A side. While he would love to have it in New York City, he said he would love to have it in New York City in Madison Square Garden due to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, we don't listen. I'd love to do the fight in New York. And Anthony has no problem with that either. But at the moment, that fight probably does 2 million UK pay-per-view buys. But don't forget, we're a lot more reasonable on the fans at $25 a go. You know, you boys $100. You know, you got the big bucks out there on the pay-per-view. But ultimately, it doesn't matter for Anthony where the fight is. We'll make the fight where there's most money to be made. But at the moment, that's in the UK. That could change. You know, that could change quite quickly with the increased profile of both fighters. But, you know, I think that.
But how do you increase Deontay's profile when Joshua is the one with all the options? Obviously, Joseph is sitting there. He wants a unification with Joshua. It means more money. Dillian Whyte would love a rematch with Joshua. It means more money. Everybody wants a crack at Joshua. If David Haye beats Bellew, he wants a shot at Joshua. It means more money. Now, Bellew's a different story. If he wins, he probably doesn't want Joshua or Wilder. But everything points to Joshua. He's the cash cow in the division.
Yeah, he's the king. He's close. He's the king of the division. He's making, like I said, 10 times more than anyone in the division. And he's the boy. He's the man. But you increase someone's profile by promoting them as a brand 365 days a year, by forming alliances and allegiances with other brands. I mean, look at what Joshua's doing with Under Armour. You know, the value that they've added to his profile has been incredible. But Deontay Wilder only really gets promoted during fight build-up. It might be 4 or 5 weeks, and that's it. It's a 365-day-a-year operation. Look at Anthony Joshua's social media. Watch the posts. You know, watch the content. Watch the partnerships, and look at the numbers, and then relate them to Deontay Wilder. And it's levels and levels and levels above. You know, and that's promotion, that's commercial nous, and that's having a team of people around you that are driving a brand. When you're heavyweight champion of the world, you're a brand. You know, you're not just this guy out of I don't know, Philadelphia, who's like 16-3. You know, he's just sort of making his way on the circuit. You're the heavyweight champion of the world. It's a business. You're a commodity. You know, and at the moment, he's fighting in comparison. Like, he's fighting for peanuts. That's the truth. For someone of his ability, of his demeanor, of his character, of his personality, he's fighting for peanuts. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to people who think that kind of money is peanuts. But in the grand scheme of things, in relation to what he should be fighting for, he's fighting for peanuts.
Eddie, we did this whole show because you went on record saying that the split for this fight is not 50-50. That's not anywhere near 50-50. So in your opinion, right now, today, what is the split between Joshua and Wilder if they were to fight?
I don't know. I mean, whatever I tell you is going to be a headline tomorrow. So
that's the beauty of it, Eddie.
I think. I know, but I think you're better off looking at the value of the fight and what a man would accept, or there's two ways to look at it, isn't there? You can look at the split and let your ego drive you on the split and drive you mad, or you can look at the value. So if there's $40 million, $50 million in that fight, just say, right? I'm not saying there is, but say there is $50 million in this fight. You know, does Deontay Wilder take $10 million for the fight? I mean, that's 20%. He's not going to get that anywhere else, is he? I mean, he's not going to get $5 million anywhere else.
Well, he got 5 for the Povetkin
there's two
fight.
ways to look at it. No, he didn't. The fight didn't take place.
I mean, he was gonna get the 5, and he eventually got it in court because of litigations. But that was the purse, $5 million. I have an interview over the weekend where we spoke about it.
Well,
we actually spoke about you.
He didn't get the $5 million as a person.
We actually spoke about you because he says
that court case is still ongoing, I believe. But anyway.
Well, I just want to address that one little part. I said, how does Eddie Hearn know that Dillian Whyte would be your career high payday? And I said to him, last I checked, you received or were to receive $5 million for Povetkin. It didn't take place, but in court, you got your $5 million. And he said, yeah, Eddie doesn't know. No one knows what I get paid. So, Eddie, just help us out. How do you gauge his purse or a fighter's purse?
Well, quite easily. He does not earn him $4 million for a fight. He has never earned $4 million for a fight. And he didn't earn $5 million for a fight against Povetkin because the fight didn't take place. Yes, there is a court case ongoing, which I believe they're winning at the moment. I don't know too much about it. But he never had the fight. Yes, that was the purse. I believe it was a purse bid. But listen, if I'm wrong and he's never earned $4 million for a fight, good luck to him. I would bet a lot of money he didn't earn $4 million for a fight. But listen, if he has, good luck to him. Like I said, but I don't know what he's getting for. I see what they put down on the bout agreement: $1 million, 900,000, sometimes 1.3. So you tell me, is there a bigger chunk hiding behind it? Maybe, but not $3 million. That's for sure.
Eddie, you think that the Joshua Wilder split is not 50-50? Is the Wilder-Whyte split 50-50? What's the split on that fight?
No way. I mean, look, if I'm giving Deontay Wilder $4 million for that fight, then Whyte's going to take, well, I don't know, depending on how the pay-per-view does, $1 million.
Okay.
So you're talking more like 25% for Dillian Whyte. Okay. But that's not a problem because Dillian Whyte's going to be the mandatory after the Helenius fight. He may have to wait a few months, but when that's called, by the way, the split with the WBC is 70-30. So, in a way, some might be better to wait for Dillian Whyte. You get more money. But we want to do it now. February the 3rd is the date at the O2. It's ready to go. And, he can fire through Stiverne on the 4th and go straight back into camp. Fly straight over for the press conference, and have a nice Christmas.
Eddie, last question. I know it's late over there. I want to thank you again. It's been quite some time since you've called in, but we do appreciate it. What could be done to sweeten that Dillian Whyte deal? Because I'm with you. I mean, I told him I just left there literally 48 hours ago, and I told that Dillian Whyte deal is the way to go, especially in February. How do you sweeten this for this man? Because he's dead set on not fighting, in his words, interview will be out later, not fighting any side hoes. He says that Dillian Whyte is Anthony Joshua's side hoe. He wants the guy that knocked out Dillian Whyte, not Dillian Whyte.
Yeah, I understand Deontay's position. I can understand him wanting to go straight into the Joshua fight, but I'd want to do that fight in the summer in the stadium. And, the two, one thing's for sure, there's not going to be a fight. It's not a fight that says fight Dillian Whyte and if you win, you get Anthony Joshua. That just happens because once he comes over to the UK and if he beats Dillian Whyte, and I stress if, because Dillian's our guy and not many people want to fight him. We back him 100% in that fight. But if he believes he can beat Dillian Whyte, and if he does beat Dillian Whyte, then the Joshua fight's natural. And when you talk about 20%, 30%, one thing's for sure, it adds 10%. Wilder winning that fight. And if we talk about imaginary pot of $50 million, 10% is $5 million. Call it a $5 million bonus in the Joshua fight if you beat Dillian Whyte. This is not about ego. This is not about disrespect. This is about good business and good common sense. And this is the fight to make. There's a rematch clause. It's a voluntary defence. There won't be a rematch clause in a mandatory defence. So what's the loss? You know, you fight Dillian Whyte. If you win, your value goes up through the roof, and you get even more money in the Anthony Joshua fight. If you lose, you know what? You can fight Dillian Whyte again, and you get another chance, another payday, and another chance to fight Anthony Joshua after. So, you know, sometimes I think, you know, I talk a lot. We know that, and I answer people's questions, and some people get irate and upset with what I say and think I'm being disrespectful. I'm not. I just answer the questions. I try and point out what I see to be common sense. And I hope Deontay Wilder's team can understand the common sense, because one thing I do know how to do is increase the profile of a fighter, increase the value of a fighter, and make big fights.
I know I said that was my last one, but now that you got this Daniel Jacob HBO deal, everybody wants to know when's Joshua's Showtime deal up, and what is the possibility of Joshua crossing over to HBO?
Well, again, I saw Richard Schaefer's interview the other day where he seemed to think that Joshua has already done a deal with HBO. Not true in the slightest. And there hasn't been any conversations about a deal, no offers of a long-term deal from HBO at all. We're in with Showtime. We've got another fight to go after this one. We're very happy with that relationship. It's been 5 fights now. They backed Anthony in the beginning when others wouldn't. And my deal is not with HBO. Daniel Jacobs' deal is with HBO. I have no exclusivity to any broadcaster in the US. Yes, HBO have opened the door for me, and I appreciate that. And I will continue conversations with them and other fighters about getting them on their network. My position with Anthony Joshua is we are a Showtime fighter. We're very happy. We have respect for Stephen Espinoza and the team. Will we always be a Showtime fighter? I don't have a crystal ball. But what I tell you is we appreciate their support. They've been there from the beginning. And certainly any extension talks after the fight, after the Takam fight, they will be our priority to speak to Showtime because of their loyalty to us for years.
Well, Eddie, again, thank you. I know it's late over there. Definitely was a pleasure having you on. We need to do this more often. And I guess good night. I mean, I would say your social media is what I normally tell people, but everybody follows Eddie Hearn at this point.
I'll try. I'm on there too much, but what can you do? You sit up at night flicking. Some of these opinions get me angry. I've got to have my say.
I love that you're that accessible. I'm telling you, man. It's. I mean, you see what it's done for you anyway, right? You're a household name now. What's up with Brooke, man? You don't want to hang up.
Sad laugh, Nesta.
You don't want to hang up this phone, Eddie. I'll keep you all day. What's going on with Brooke? Why you didn't get him that Cotto fight, bro? How you gonna let Cotto go out with Saddam fucking Ali? Kell Brooke should have got that.
Yeah, that was frustrating because actually, I'll be fair. Peter Nelson did ask me about Kell Brooke, but unfortunately, it was 7-8 weeks notice, and Kell's not ready to fight yet. Obviously, he's coming off the injury. He's healed well, but he's heavy right now, and he's 12 weeks from fighting. So they did mention it to us, the fight, but Kell Brooke's in a position now where he's coming off 2 defeats. A 3rd defeat in a row is kind of career ending, but I want to get him some wins. I want to get him back on the horse. I want to build his confidence and build his love again for boxing. And I really believe he has to move up to 154 pounds because he's a different fighter up there. And, we go back a long way and he's made a lot of money, but he's had a rough ride over the last couple of fights. So I want to get back on the horse, like I said, get him a good win in February And then, 154 is a tough division. There's some great fighters, again, not with huge profile, but very, very tough fights, tough division. But he's a great fighter. And, if he has the desire to return, then I think he can be a threat in the division.
His return fight, it wouldn't be anything like on the level of Liam Smith, right? I know there was some sparring footage of them in the past. Liam fights at 54, or does he need something a step before that?
I think Kell would fancy the Liam Smith fight. I think he's fighting Liam Williams in November. But just a good, solid 154-pound name that he can come back and say, I'm here. I'm here in the division.
I got one for you.
It's all about desire, really.
I got one for you, Eddie. It'll be easy for him too. He'll make a good name for himself, and it'll show if he can handle a good boxer. But the guy's vulnerable enough that Kell could get a knockout. Tony Harrison. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it does anything. I don't know if it does anything for you in the UK, but I mean, if you want to get some US exposure.
Not really. No.
Yeah, I know.
Not really. He's been offered up, but that's the kind of fight, the kind of level that we've got to be looking at to return. It's got to be respectable, but it's got to be sellable as well. But it's all about desire, Nestor, at this stage. I was talking to Anthony Joshua the other night, and he said to me, "How long do you want me to fight for?" And I said, "Well, it's a silly question." I said, "That's your call, but the moment the desire goes, then that's the moment it has to end, because boxing's not like sitting at a desk. When you're in a job and you don't want to be there anymore, you can kind of style it out, can't you, for a few months, maybe a year. But not in boxing. It becomes dangerous, especially at elite level. And the moment the desire goes is the moment you have to hang up the gloves. And, you won't find about that desire for Kell until he gets back in camp. And it starts getting tough, and he's getting up at 5 in the morning. How much desire does he have? Like I said, he's made a lot of money. He's won world titles. But sometimes people are more competitive than others, and I believe he has a competitive streak in him that will drive him to return to the top level of the sport.
Man, you went back to Joshua, so let's address this this comment that you made that obviously has Wilder not upset, but I guess scratching his head, right? Somewhere in the media, you must have said that you feel Anthony Joshua stops Deontay Wilder in 3 rounds. So he keeps repeating, if Eddie thinks that Joshua can stop me in 3, why do we need to build the fight up? Why do we need to wait? Uh-oh, did we lose him, Matt?
Possibly.
Uh-oh. Right when it was going to get juicy, huh? I bet you everybody thinks the pause is because he doesn't want to answer. Look, someone put in the comments, Eddie's shaking.
Shout out to Eddie Hearn for calling in.
Eddie, you there? Eddie?
No, he's gone.
Not there. Sure.
Do you hear him?
Well, Ed, if you can hear us, no sense in coming back. I mean, you've done far enough. That was amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. And actually, why don't you take some of these on the way out? Couple of coins. If this were a poetry slam, we'll give you some snaps. His name is still there. I keep just looking to the left like, should I go back to him? That was amazing that they offered Brooke Cotto. That was nice.